What if I told you that China has a secret weapon to control India's water supply? Yes, you heard it right. China has undisputed control over the fresh water from the glaciers in Tibet, and it's putting countries downstream in hot water. Get ready to uncover the truth about how China's icy grip threatens the water supply of millions of people in India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. Hold on to your hat, because the story of China's control over India's water supply is nothing short of a thriller. It all begins with the Tibetan glaciers, which are an essential source of fresh water for many Asian nations, including Bangladesh, Pakistan, and India. These nations heavily rely on rivers like the Ganges and Brahmaputra, which are fed by Tibetan glaciers, for their water supply. Yet, these nations are in a vulnerable situation as a result of China's control over these glaciers. China has built several dams on these rivers, giving them complete control over the water flow downstream. According to reports, China has been utilizing this authority to control water flow. But wait, there's more. In 2016, China stopped a Brahmaputra tributary so that it could construct a dam, which raised serious concerns among Indian officials about the water supply, with India accusing China of breaking the Sustainable Development Goals of the UN. This action has only increased tensions between the two nations. The Indian government has been working hard to increase public awareness of China's actions and their effects on the stability and growth of the region. Because the water supply from the Tibetan glaciers is a shared resource, there have been demands for international cooperation to address this problem. Therefore, fasten your seatbelts, because the story of China's influence on India's water supply is far from over. The future of the region is seriously threatened by the possibility of water scarcity and droughts brought on by China's efforts. Nations must work together to find a solution and guarantee that everyone has fair access to water resources. In the area, the effects of China's control over the water supply are already evident. Water flow patterns are changing in the countries downstream, which has an effect on their agricultural methods and water availability. By 2050, glacier melt might result in a 6% decline in annual river flows on the Indian subcontinent, according to a report from the Council on Energy, Environment and Water. China's control over the water supply has also caused tensions between neighboring countries. In addition to the Brahmaputra disaster, Vietnam, Thailand, and Cambodia have expressed concern over China's dam building efforts on the Mekong River. The economies and food security of these nations are both reliant on the river. The Tibetan glaciers are melting at an alarming rate, leading to environmental issues, which could lead to long-term water scarcity and droughts in the region. This could also have a severe impact on the biodiversity of the region. There are also cultural implications to consider. The rivers flowing through the region are not just sources of water, but also hold deep cultural and religious significance for the people. The Ganges River, for example, is considered sacred by Hindus and is believed to have purifying powers. The diversion of water from these rivers could lead to cultural and spiritual deprivation for the people living in the region. Apart from the geopolitical, environmental implications and cultural implications of China's control over the water supply, there are also concerns regarding the human rights of people living in the region. According to reports, China has been applying political pressure on its neighbors by using its control over the water supply as a political tool. Fears have grown over China's potential to weaponize water during conflicts, which would have terrible effects on millions of people. Moreover, China's construction of dams and diversion of rivers for the country's gain has raised concerns about the impact on the downstream ecosystems. The changes in the water flow patterns could lead to the loss of wetlands, riverbeds, and floodplains, affecting the biodiversity of the region. China's control over the water supply could have far-reaching consequences for global security. The scarcity of water resources in the region could lead to conflict and instability, which could have a ripple effect on the global economy and safety. It's worth noting that the water issue is not the only source of tension between India and China. The two countries have a long history of border disputes, and tensions have escalated in recent years, with both sides accusing each other of territorial encroachments and military aggression. China's control over the water supply is just one of the many factors contributing to the complex and volatile relationship between these two Asian giants. The financial consequences of China's control over the water supply must also be taken into account. As mentioned earlier, the rivers originating from the Tibetan Plateau are the lifeline for millions of people in India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. These rivers sustain the industry, agriculture, and other economic activities, providing millions of people with jobs and income. However, the uncertainty over the water supply has led to concerns about the long-term sustainability of these economic activities. For instance, farmers in India are becoming more and more concerned that erratic water availability may cause their crops to fail. Similarly, if the water supply is shut off or curtailed, businesses that depend on rivers for their operations, such as hydroelectric power plants, could experience significant disruptions. International trade and collaboration are impacted by China's control over the water supply. For example, India is worried about how China's decision to dam the Brahmaputra River could affect downstream trade and navigation. Regarding the effects of China's water projects on their shared rivers, India and Bangladesh have also expressed their concerns. The possibility of geopolitical tensions and wars is another risk associated with China's control over the water supply. The region's nations value the common river basins for their strategic value in addition to being water supplies. Controlling the water supply has the potential to be a tool for influencing politics and applying pressure to nearby nations. For example, China's control over the water supply has led to tensions between India and China over the Brahmaputra River. India is concerned that China's Brahmaputra water projects could affect downstream water flow and undermine its industrial and agricultural sectors. Similar disagreements exist between Pakistan and India over the Indus River, with India charging Pakistan with exploiting water as a tool to put pressure on it. Moreover, the lack of cooperation and coordination between the countries in the region has further complicated the issue. The sustainable utilization of shared water resources requires a collaborative and cooperative approach. Creating an open and equitable water sharing system calls on the participation of all riparian nations in the area, including China. China's dominance over the water supply raises security issues. In regions where water shortage is already a serious problem, any disruption to the water supply might potentially cause social unrest and conflict. In conclusion, the issue of China's control over the Indian water supply is not just an environmental and economic concern, but also has significant geopolitical and security implications. The international community must work together to find a sustainable solution that promotes cooperation and transparency among the riparian countries in the region. By doing so, we can ensure the long-term availability of water resources and promote a more stable and peaceful global order. Well, that's it for today, folks. We've explored the world of water and how China's control over the Indian water supply has created a real thirst for change. From environmental concerns to geopolitical tensions, this issue is one that we all need to drink up and tackle together. So stay hydrated, stay curious, and until next time, keep swimming against the tide of ignorance.